Recently, we've been talking about posture a lot, not as something to force, but as information. And today, I'd like to take that idea one step further. Because here's something I've learned after years of working with people. The place you feel something isn't always where the story begins. Your neck hurts, your shoulders feel tight, your low back aches. One hip always feels stiff. Most of us immediately focus on the place that aches or hurts. But what if that discomfort isn't the beginning of the story? What if it's the end of it? What if the place that's getting your attention is simply the area that's been working overtime? Because somewhere else isn't contributing the way it once did. Pain is often the loudest voice in the room, but it isn't always the one that started the conversation. One of the most incredible things about the human body is that it's always trying to help you. It's constantly solving problems, constantly figuring out how to keep you moving. If one area loses mobility, another area often begins moving more. If one muscle isn't contributing enough, another muscle often works a little bit harder. Your body doesn't quit, it adapts. And honestly, that's pretty amazing. The problem isn't that your body compensates. The problem is that those compensations can become your new normal. So let's think about it this way. Imagine one member of a team stops doing their job. The rest of the team doesn't just walk away, they pick up the extra work. Our bodies, they do exactly the same thing. If your upper back becomes stiff, your neck may begin moving more than it should. Here's what that actually looks like. Maybe you sit at a desk most of the day. Your upper back stiffens up from all the time spent in one position. So every time you turn to check your blind spot or reach for something on a shelf, your neck has to make up the difference. Day after day, that adds up. And eventually your neck is the one that's tight and cranky, even though it was never really the problem. It was just the one picking up the slack. That's the pattern. If your hips lose mobility, your low back may jump in to help out. If your rib cage isn't moving well, your shoulders may begin taking on extra work. None of that happens because your body is broken. It happens because your body is incredibly resourceful. This is why I encourage people to become curious. Instead of immediately asking, how do I stretch this? Try asking, why is this area working so hard? That's a different question. So let me give you an example. Say your low back is nagging at you, maybe for months. You've stretched it, you've foam rolled it, maybe someone has even told you your low back is just tight. So you keep working on your low back, but nothing really changes. Here's a question worth asking instead. How well is your hip moving on the same side? Because if your hip has gradually lost some of its mobility, your low back may have been quietly picking up the extra work every time you bend over, every time that you've twisted, or even taken a step. You could stretch your low back every single day for a year. But if your hip never regains the mobility it needs, your low back may continue to do the job your hip was designed to do. That's the difference between chasing the symptom and understanding the story. Now, does that mean that every case of low back pain comes from the hip? No, absolutely not. But it does remind us that the place asking for our attention isn't always the place where the problem began. because where you feel discomfort isn't always where the problem started. Sometimes it's simply the area that's been working overtime for weeks, months, or even years. When we only chase symptoms, we often miss the reason those symptoms developed in the first place. This is what I mean by body literacy. It's learning to become a thoughtful observer of your own body, to recognize patterns, to notice the changes, to become curious instead of frustrated. Because your body is communicating all day long, not to make life difficult, but to help you adapt. The better we become at understanding those messages, the better decisions we can make about how we move, how we exercise, how we recover, and care for ourselves. So, if there's one idea that I'd love for you to take with you today, it's this: where you feel something isn't always where it started. Our bodies are wonderfully interconnected. One change in one area can influence many others. So the next time something feels tight or uncomfortable, you don't need to automatically start worrying. Sometimes it can be better to get really curious, because curiosity leads to understanding, and understanding is where body literacy begins. So if you're enjoying this body literacy series, go ahead and subscribe, because here's where we explore how to better understand the everyday signals our bodies are constantly giving us. And if you'd like to dive a little bit deeper into these ideas, you'll find a link below to the Everyday Athlete Field Guide, where we explore understanding how our bodies adapt, communicate, and support us throughout life. So, until next time, keep moving, stay curious, and take really good care of yourself.